Hi everybody, this is Pedro with LTS, and today's video is how to choose the right Perazzi for your style, for what you're gonna shoot. So let's talk shotguns. Alright everybody, this is the video where we're gonna talk about how to choose your Perazzi. We're gonna go through all the specs on start selecting parts of the gun that we would like to have on our own personal gun. With that being said, this is the final thing of a Perazzi is there's no way for you to call or buy a Perazzi online without trying that gun first on your hands and comparing it to similar build guns so you can see, because the right Perazzi is the one that feels the best. Okay, so let's start out. First, we're gonna start with the main question we have is detachable triggers or fixed triggers. That is a personal preference that me personally does not matter. Okay, that is a true personal opinion of mine. The reason for it is you have two options. You have the detachable trigger and you have the fixed trigger guns. Detachable trigger being the MX8 platform, fixed trigger guns being the MX12 platform. Now, doesn't matter to me because I have a 9-to-5 job and I am not running the country shooting every competition. So I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of both, and you're going to decide what would you like to have. On detachable trigger Perazzis, you can have coil springs or leaf springs. Leaf springs tend to be more crisper shooting and faster release. But leaf springs can break because it is a release instead of a compression. Okay? So, if it does break, you do get an extra set of leaf springs with your gun when you purchase it. Oh, Pedro, but I want to buy, a $15,000, $20,000, $30,000 gun. It's going to break on me. Every gun can break, no matter how expensive they are. The leaf springs, however, they can break earlier than the coil springs. Therefore, you get an extra set. And it's not like it's going to break at 100 rounds later. It takes thousands of rounds. You get a tool that helps you replace it yourself. It's not rocket science. Most people can do it. Now, if you're a competitor and you're traveling everywhere and shooting a lot and throughout competitions, sometimes the detachable trigger is a better option due to all the other parts on the trigger. Okay, when a gun fails, the vast majority of time, 99% of the time, is going to be on the trigger. Some part in the trigger broke. So if you are a competitor, sometimes you don't have the luxury to have a gunsmith right there that can work on a Perazzi, because there are few of them out of the country that truly understands these guns. So what you can do, buy a spare trigger, so that trigger comes out, pop your new one on and go shoot again, and you can send your messed up trigger to get worked on. That is the major advantage of having one. Now, if you don't want to deal with it, or having a spare trigger, or if you don't shoot a whole bunch, you're not traveling the competition, you can go with the fixed trigger gun. Okay, the fixed trigger gun has the coil springs a little more reliable. Therefore, on theory, it would be less likely something to break. But it's a mechanical item. Something else besides that spring can break. Okay, so pick the two. If you're a competitor and you don't want to be without your gun at any point, it's probably the detachable trigger so you can get a spare. If you're not, or if you don't want to deal with it either way, you can have a fixed trigger gun. Me personally, to me, it does not matter. Okay, especially because it's hard to find multiple Perazzis that are the same exact gun with fixed trigger and detachable trigger where you can handle them both. So the right one is one that feels the best, like I said before. So detachable or fixed, you got to choose one of the two. Let's start by that. Now, the action. Which action do you want? Do you want the MX series action, or do you want the high-tech action? That is a very important question that I am going to tell you the differences, and once you feel the difference, it's going to be either one or the other. Okay, the MX receivers are 1,000 grams. The high-tech receiver, they're 1,040 grams, so 40 grams heavier. In between the two guns, you have the high-tech SL or Super Leggero. which is 1020. I'll tell you what I use it for, and you make your own decision what you want. The MX series guns are going to be a little bit lighter depending on how you build, even though you can make a high MX feel a lot heavier than a high tech, but by just default the receiver is lighter. So if you like a light overall gun, you can go with the MX series. The weight's going to be a little more spread out throughout the gun. What I mean by that, even though the Perazzi receiver is a massive receiver and feels fantastic, there doesn't have another 40 grams on it. So it tends to spread the weight a little more throughout the gun compared to the high-tech receiver, which you have an increased mass dead center of the gun. So when you're handling this gun, you're going to feel the majority of your weight right here. Not forward and not back. Dead center in the middle. That is my personal preference. Again, my personal preference might not be yours, but it is mine. I can handle a heavier gun. I like the weight on my hands. To me, it gives me the feeling of a better control because both of my hands are sharing that load instead of being forward or back. Okay? So now, when we're gonna build a 33 or 34 inch gun, most of the time I'm using the SL receiver because I am increasing in length, I am increasing the weight. So I don't want a 10-pound gun overall. So I use the SL receiver. What that does is, it gives me a little weight in the hands to balance off that longer barrel. And I usually do a thinner rib over top, 7x7 or even done 7x4 millimeters. That will remove as much weight as I can from the barrels and bring the nice feeling towards the center because a 33 or 34 inch gun can feel long if not balanced correctly. So we chose our triggers. Now we talked about the receivers. 3 variations for, and I want to be clear, these are 3 variations for the boss action. Not the Perazzi MXS or DC-12. We're talking about the 3 boss action Perazzis. So you have the MX, 1000 grams. High-tech SL, 1020. High-tech 1040. You pick for balance wise, okay? If you like the lightest gun you can have, most likely you're gonna go with the MX. The heaviest gun you can get, you can build however you want, you probably go with the high-tech. Those are our 3 receivers for the boss action. Now we go for barrel lengths. That again, a true skeet gun is a 28-inch gun. A true sporting clays gun is a 32-inch gun. Some people like 33s and 34s for sporting clays. Some people like 28, 29, 30s, sometimes even 32s for skeet. Personal preference. But I'm boiling it back to 28 being a true skeet, 32 being a true sporting clays. Skeet is a fast, close game. You gotta move fast. So sometimes you're gonna probably want a gun that has weight to it, so it's not whippy, but with a light muzzle so it can move very fast. Sporting clays, a lot of the targets, at least half sometimes, or further away. So you want a gun that can track that bird steady, that it doesn't move on you, okay? So that's why they're gonna tend to be longer, sometimes heavier. You're gonna choose the barrel length that is right for you. Now, here's where it gets tricky. Okay, we're gonna move on to the chokes so we can come back to the barrel length. Chokes, fixed choke or choked Perazzis. Perazzi chokes add 1.4 ounces each to the muzzle. Perazzi that I like to shoot is 9.1 pounds. Oh Pedro, wow, your gun is crazy heavy. It doesn't feel that way. If you tried it, it feels very light, but it is 9.1 pounds. It has a 7mm rib at the monoblock with a reverse taper. So it goes from 7 to 11 at the muzzle and adding almost those 3 ounces again of the chokes. I like the front weight, not the entire barrel being heavy. It's not what I mean. It's the muzzle being a little bit heavier because I have a tendency to swing too fast, slows me down and keeps me steady. My personal preference, okay? So the chokes will add. The reason you see a lot of fixed chokes Perazzi is because they do feel amazing. You can get a 32-inch gun that it has, eight and a half, 8 3/4, almost 9 pounds, that the muzzle does feel live. So you got to choose if you want the chokes or not. Now, Pedro, I do want versatility because I want to shoot multiple disciplines. That's okay. But I do like the fixed choke feeling. Perfect. You can get thin walls, Briley thin walls installed. They will not change the balance of the gun, and they are great chokes. You can get other types of chokes. There are other manufacturers that make titanium chokes for Perazzi. They are very light, and it does change the balance, okay? It keeps the balance back when you change them. So you have that option, and you gotta choose. Another question that I get asked is, well, this is 32 fixed choke. If I'm gonna get Briley thin walls flush, I'm missing the 3/4 inch of the choke that it would be on an extended gun. That's fine, get a 33-inch gun then. Oh, but 33-inch barrels are too long. Well, but if you do 32s with screw-in extended chokes, so usually 3/4 inch long, that's 33 3/4. I don't think you're gonna feel a difference. Most of it is in your head. All right, so you have that option. Because this sport, a lot of it is in our heads. So you can get that extra length if you need, or you can get it shorter if you need to. You can mimic the balance. So chokes or no chokes, it's a feeling. You gotta feel the same exact gun. So you would have a high-tech 12 gauge 32 inch with a 11x7 rib fixed choke. And then you have a high-tech 12 gauge 32 inch 11x7 rib with chokes. And you're gonna try them both. And that's how you're gonna find out if I want Perazzi chokes or I do not want Perazzi chokes. That's the right way of doing it. Now, the last part is stock configurations. The cool thing about ordering a Perazzi is that you get a free custom stock, right? The gun is not free, but because it is included on the price of the gun, because every Perazzi is made to order. So when you're ordering a Perazzi, if you are willing to wait, you can get your dimensions put into the gun by the time it comes from Perazzi, right? So usually non-engraved Perazzis in 12 or 20 gauge are gonna take about a year to arrive, okay? This is a MX8 non-engraved, okay? They're gonna take about a year to arrive. Engraved Perazzis or 28 gauge, 410 gauge, or the DC-12 are gonna take about 2 years to arrive. So we understand, if you're like me, I like my guns now. I don't like to wait, and that's okay. And majority of people do wait. I don't like it. So, well, you have options. You can get a Perazzi and have it custom stocked. You can make adjustments to the stock in order to fit you better. So those are things you gotta look for. Where you're gonna go get your gun, make sure they can do a proper fitting. They understand the balance of a Perazzi, because if you love, let's just say you came here and you love the MX8 that I have right here, and then I start chopping away, well, the balance is gonna do what? It's gonna tip. When I remove material from the back, it tips forward. If I add length or an adjustable butt, whatever it is, and adds weight to the back, the balance is gonna do what? It's gonna come back here. So wherever you're getting your gun from, make sure that they understand when doing the fitting that it can change the balance of the gun and what would be the best course of action. Sometimes, yes, you can just say, Pedro, no, I can just add an adjustable butt to extend a whole inch and a quarter out, and I'm done, and it's gonna cost me $300, $400, $500. Sure, but the whole purpose of getting a Perazzi is so you get that feeling when you grab your gun the same time. That's why you chose that Perazzi, the feeling. If I add weight to the back, my feeling changes, okay? So sometimes you're spending only that little amount to get the length right. It's not the right option to go with a Perazzi, because you lose the feeling to save, you know, some money. And my opinion on this is very clear. My opinion is, this is the highest level quality gun you can get. It is not an inexpensive gun by any means, okay? And it's built to last generations to come. If you're willing to pay the premium price of a premium product, be willing to do the changes necessary to keep that product feeling like a premium product. Not just go the less expensive way to make it work. Do the right thing. That is me, okay? My personal opinion. If you're gonna get one of these, make sure it fits correct, it feels good. So with all this being said about detachable or fixed triggers, high-tech MX receivers, high-tech SL, high-tech receiver, 30, 32, 33s, 34s, choked or fixed choke. If you're gonna spend over $15,000, $16,000 for a gun, go handle the gun. Go to a place where it has multiple similar builds so you can handle them all. Because what my personal experience is when people come see me is they come here with something in mind, and a lot of times they end up going with something else because it felt better. So do your research. Go to a place where they have many. I know it's hard to find, but there are a few places out there that have many Perazzis in stock, so you can try them all, handle them all, open, close, mount, dismount, swing it, because that's going to be the right Perazzi for you. Last thing I want to talk about is ribs. That it's going to be two ways, either personal preference or mandatory. What do I mean by that? You have flat rib, you have elevated ribs in millimeters, 2, 3, 4 millimeters. You have adjustable ribs. I have a couple adjustables right here, and I'll show you. This is what's called a 3-notch rib. It has adjustable rib, 3 notches, okay? You have 4 notches, and so on. Why would I go with a step rib in millimeters? Why would I go with an adjustable rib? Why would I go with a flat rib? Your style of shooting. Some people can only shoot a flat rib gun, like me. I can't figure it out how to shoot anything else besides a flat rib. Some people can only shoot step rib guns. Some people can only shoot higher adjustable rib guns. That 3-notch rib that I have here, not necessarily, it's not made, oh, it's a higher rib and 3 notches trap. No. You can shoot sporting clays with this just fine. You can shoot ski with this just fine because of how it fits. We use this for how it fits a person. There's a lot of people that can only shoot adjustable ribs, and that's okay. And that's something for you to figure it out. Sometimes I get the questions, Pedro, you know, I shoot trap, I shoot skeet, I shoot sporting clays. I am on the high 90s in sporting clays. I'm shooting 23, 24s, and 25s in trap, and I only shoot flat rib guns. But I see my friends, they're shooting all high ribs. Should I be shooting a high rib? No. You should be shooting what you shoot well. That is the answer. Shoot what you shoot well. If you're shooting 90s with a flat rib, 24s and 25s with a flat rib in trap, why would you change to a higher rib trap gun just because everybody else is shooting? Choose the one and shoot the one that you can shoot the best and feel more comfortable with. I cannot personally shoot a adjustable or step rib gun. I can only shoot flat rib guns. I have people that can, it's the reverse. So, oh, I never shot one or the other, so I don't know which one is right for me. Unfortunately, I can't answer that question for you. You have to try them all. What I can tell you is, usually the style of mount will dictate kind of the rib you use. Usually, that's not always the case, but most of the time is. What I mean by that? Higher rib guns usually are a style of mount that you have a more upright posture right here, okay? Due to the butt having a Monte Carlo stock sitting the back of your shoulder here, and they having the higher comb making up right here so you don't have to come your face all the way down. Me personally, I can't even shoot a flat rib gun with a flat sporting stock. I see nothing but the back of the top lever due to how I mount. So when I mount my gun and I come down, I see nothing but the safety and the top lever. So my scenario, I need a Monte Carlo stock on a flat rib gun. Again, person to person, and that's how it's going to dictate what kind of rib you should be using on your gun. Now, there are ways to change your mount, there are ways to get better shooting. If you like a different style, if you want to try a different gun, that's okay. A scenario that we have is sometimes people need a large amount of drop at the nose of the comb. I had customers where they needed 2 inches of drop right at the nose. Okay, normal guns that you see on the shelves are usually 1.5 inches drop at the nose. Therefore, I have to remove 1/2 inch of the nose of the comb in order for this person to be able to shoot a flat rib gun. But what that's going to do is it's going to force them to come all the way down and trying to smash their face all the way down. When we could simply use a step rib or a 3-notch adjustable rib so they are more comfortable. Why? Because at that point I can do, because dimensions are taken from the rib, higher rib, more drop if I keep a lower stock. And another thing that we run into is the nose of the comb where you sit your hand. You're supposed to put your hand in and let it sit right on the palm swell as far back and as far low as you can so your wrist is straight. If I have 2 inches of drop on this, I wouldn't have a nose here anymore. So that's what happens when you have a lot of drop in the rib configurations. I know it's a lot of information on Perazzi, and it sounds like I said a lot of things, and at the end I didn't say anything at all. That's because, like I said in the beginning of the video, the right Perazzi is the one that feels the best. The only thing that you can start picking before even handling one is those things, like I said, the barrel length. Would you like chokes or no chokes? Would you like detachable trigger or a fixed trigger gun? And the looks of your gun you can certainly pick beforehand. I know it's a lot of information. I hope you guys have enjoyed this long explanation I gave, that at the end you still have to handle the gun in order to try it. And I think that is the true correct way. If you're spending the premium amount for a premium product, go see the gun in person, go compare the gun across the same brand but different variations of it, so you go home with a gun that you made an informed decision on. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was a great video for me to do because I talk about this all the time. So thank you.